Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Charting from Blank episode. This week we're going to be taking a look at Pump, a coin that is clearly one of the strongest in the market right now. As we can see, basically the only green coin on the day, apart from dominance, and something I have been discussing a lot in my market reviews lately. I thought I'd do a Charting from Blank episode on it. Since it is one of the strongest coins, we want to be prioritizing what we're longing at the moment on the main movers and the ones that are stronger than the rest. Before I get into the video, make sure you check out the socials in the link below. Socials to follow me where I trade, wealth group Discord, link to join the Discord is down below, check that out. So we're going to start off on the monthly as we usually do, looking at the higher time frame. I mean, since the listing, the monthly listing on the Bybit spot, been up only, had that large wick to the upside, which now price is looking at trying to backfill it, sort of trailing that wick. And a lot of the time you'll find on these sort of coins is that if they have a monthly wick on any time frame, especially on the monthly, something like this, as long as the monthly doesn't close below that close, you'll find that it will like drift to the upside and a lot of the time backfill the wick, usually to the 0.5 and sometimes even all the way to the top. But the 0.5 is, you'll find, is a lot of the time the place that the price starts to reject from. So we're going to keep an eye on this 0.5. I'll mark it on the chart 0.0047-ish. So the weekly, we've definitely got some weekly resistance right here that price is trading into, and then we could also say there's some weekly support down here as well, and we can highlight it as a bit more of an area rather than a specific price point. I'm sure this would be more prominent on the lower time frame, but we can see it sort of bracketing right now. Pump is like bracketing, moving into this range high region, so probably not a place you want to necessarily look at taking a fresh long into right now. We have a set of like equal highs on this weekly high. Currently we're failing to sweep above that July weekly high right now. That's a good liquidity objective. There's a good chance that if the weekly does start to close above 417, or even better above that 467, right? This 467 was that 0.5, so we'll highlight that. We'll write that in. That's the 0.5 of the wick. A weekly close above 417 can be really positive Pump, but even more so a weekly close above 468, above that 0.5, then I'm pretty sure we look at taking a long position all the way towards the backfill of that wick. You'll probably find that there's quite low volume above here. We have some high volume node POC around the 538 highlight, but above 4.6 you can see there's quite low volume all the way to like 5.36, which would be roughly around a 20% move. So that's a potential breakout trade we can keep an eye on for the Pump. Looking at the daily, I'm gonna highlight this daily supply right here, because this can be a good place to look for a long. If we got a close on Pump above 467, I think that could be a really nice place to look at taking a long towards that high volume node POC at 536, or let's call it 54, and then all the way to fresh all-time highs. But like I said, this area is definitely more prominent as a resistance, as that was a range low. You know, we're not new to the fact that altcoins have been ranging a lot. If you look at the majority of altcoin charts, they are kind of in these long-term ranges. Some are not doing so well. Some are sort of like floating on this range low right now and are looking very close to sort of like collapsing and backfilling maybe some market impulse from back in July, or even just like breaking down and making new fresh yearly lows, and even lows under the 2021 bear market lows. So yeah, not massively interested in taking a long on Pump into this area. If anything, it might be a good idea to look at shorting, especially if the market does not bounce soon. If majors can't hold these critical regions that they're currently trading into, then maybe a sweep above the highs on Pump and a deviation, like looking for a daily SFP above these highs, would be a really nice place to look for a fresh swing short on Pump. Like I said, you know, it's a big level. If we invert the chart, you know, you kind of would look at taking a short into this area if, you know, we've sort of like swept these highs, the equal highs from back in August, or at the time it would be equal lows if we invert in the chart, but we swept these highs here, and also now we have a set of equal highs above. So probably a place for us to look at a potential reversal for a Pump over the next couple weeks if it does set up for that. You know, right now market is definitely in favor of shorting altcoins. Despite the strength from Pump, it is moving into a very crucial area for us to keep an eye on. To quickly summarize what we discussed on the daily, I think if Pump went for a sweep above 4.6, so a sweep above 4.6 and a good SFP, so that being an attempted breakout on Pump on the daily, but price ended up closing below these sort of like highs here that I've marked, then I think that can make a really good swing short with an invalidation above the high and probably targeting back towards the like mid-range of this region. If we draw the range here, you see mid-range is around this demand, daily demand that led to this impulse right here. The opposing case for pump is that if it did continue to show its strength, the market went on to rally. We could look at a move towards that 5-3, and then even above there, we're going to be looking at taking a move to fresh all-time highs. But definitely an interesting place for a pump to be trading into, and an area that we can be looking for both sides of a trade, a long and short, depending how we trade into this region. I think for long-term spot accumulation, this looks like a good place to be a buyer. Back down towards this mid-range and this daily impulse. Trying to have like a daily level here as well to work with. See a bit of an inflection point for pump over and over again. If we did get a retrace back into like 3-5, you know, from here down to there would be about a 26% pullback, which is a pretty good place to be a buyer. So now we have our two plans on the daily, right? One is a short plan depending on how we react into this region. Personally, I would like to see a good sweep and a SFP before shorting, and the other being a close above there to take a long for a breakout trade. Now we've discussed those, let's take a look at the lower time frame, see if we can have an intraday play that we can look at taking. So pump has been grinding up, it's been really strong. I was originally looking for a fill under these lows for a swing position, but I got front run over the overnight on Monday and I didn't actually get that retest, but it's just been grinding up. It's got a serious bid behind it right now, and again, it's not something I want to short into blindly. I'd rather short into a good higher time frame signal, that being that SFP that we were just discussing. From here, it kind of is doing your classic rally base rally, right? Kind of have like the rally base forms, retrace, and then we get the rally, right? And we get the base forms, right? And then we get the rally, base, rally, base forms, rally, base, rally. And we're sort of doing this thing where price makes a new high, comes back to test the prior sort of demand area before legging up again. So with that in mind, maybe we can keep an eye on pump for a fresh long today around this sort of like 30-minute or hourly order block that we can see. As always, you want to kind of try and play the highest time frame order block that you can. So we would say that this was the most recent order block that led to a fresh high, which we actually already retested, right? So this order block led to a new high and price already came back down to retest it and then pushed up. So that was necessarily the trade to take today. But again, if we're looking at the 30-minute, we could see again here retesting back towards this 30-minute order block, just front run that area actually. So this could be quite a nice place to look for a fresh long on pump today. If we did get a retest back towards this sort of like point of control on the day, I presume that would be maybe the daily point of control. We'll have to check that quickly before I start lying. So yeah, that's the current daily point of control, so the most traded volume of the day. If pump did come back down to test this POC, this 30-minute demand area, I think we could look for a rally with a target of fresh highs, right? So a sort of like a long here, an invalidation below with the target of these equal highs on the daily, maybe even towards that 0.5, like I said, towards that middle wick fill. That's probably the trade I would look to take on pump today if we get a nice trigger into this high volume no POC. But that will sum it up for today's Charting from Blank episode. I hope it was useful to you in one way or another. Hopefully we can use these further down the line for a great trading opportunity. Make sure you guys check out the socials in the link below. I've got a new series starting on Monday, so turn on that notification bell. Be aware of the new series that's starting. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think it's going to be very beneficial for a lot of people and for their intra-week trading. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Catch you next time.